Did you know that the 5 stages of grief are actually written for those who are dying, not for those who have lost a loved one? I think we all want to know the 5 stages of grief because we want to understand what's happening to us, how it will go, and when this whole thing will be over. And when those expectations turn out to be wrong, we feel like we're doing it wrong. The reality is that every grief story will look different. And that's okay, because every loss is different. Every circumstance and personality will be different. And that's a unique and beautiful thing that you can find meaning in. This activity is great for just that, to give a little meaning to what has been going on in your grief experience and to help you envision what's going on for your future. Where are you headed? Helps you feel a little less lost in the midst of your grief journey. This is a great activity for those who have lost a loved one, but it's also great for those who are experiencing other types of grief, such as the loss of a job, a relationship, a big move, or a life change, even positive ones like motherhood. All you'll need today is something to write with and something to write on. Today I'll be using paper and crayons to tap into the childlike creativity that's inside. But you can use whatever you have on hand. If you'd like to extend this project even further, I have a downloadable activity guide on Etsy. And this includes reflection questions that you can download, as well as a warm-up activity for getting into that creative state of mind, and also tips for facilitating this activity if you're part of a grief group or in clinical practice. Let's get started. A lot of people think about their grief journey as a distinct line from A to B. When the loss happened to where you're at now. It should progress, right? Forward instead of backward. Maybe you think it should also be easier as you go from A to B. It should get easier with time. But often, grief turns out to be like this. A messy maze of backwards, forwards, up, down, even periods of stagnation. And all of this leads to dashed expectations for what grief should look like. And it leaves the griever feeling like they're doing something wrong, or they should be over this by now. Let's diagram and embrace a more accurate understanding of what grief can look like in your life. Take a piece of paper and something to write with, and let's get to it. We're gonna diagram our own grief journeys, and I'll start by showing you what my grief journey looks like in the form of a line. My loss happened in 2003. I was 12 years old, and I lost my dad suddenly to a heart attack. Right away, it was a deep dive into sadness, fear, and denial. But after a little bit, things just kind of went back to normal, and it was like we were all expected to move on. Inside, I was not okay, but because everyone else had moved on, it felt like I needed to as well. So my grief line looked like a big period of stagnation. I tried to hide in academics and art, all kinds of things, but underneath, I just had trouble expressing my grief and getting it out. I felt stuck. When I went to college, it felt like a new beginning. But then I hit a roadblock mentally or emotionally, and I experienced a deep emotional breakdown. And that's when I truly grieved for the first time. That was a really dark period where I wasn't sure if I would survive or get out of it ever. But I did. So deep down meant that there was only a little bit way to get up. And so I climbed really fast, understanding what had happened to me. I experienced all kinds of ups and downs since then, but it's become more normalized, and the ups and downs have become a little bit less as I've gotten into my adult life. And that brings me to where I am today. Now go ahead and try your own grief line. Pause the video and take as long as you want, diagramming from when the loss happened to where you are at right now. Your line will look completely different than mine because your story is different and your loss is different, and that's okay. Pause the video, take a second to draw it, and then come right back. For your next step, I want you to look at your line. Not just see it, but to really look and try and understand. When you see the line in front of you, maybe it helps you feel a little more compassion for what you went through, the darkness that you experienced. Look at your line and then turn it. Do you see anything different when it turns that way? I see maybe more like the edge of a canyon, maybe. Turn it again. Do you see anything else? This looks maybe like a little throne room going up to a big chair. Turn it again. Do you see anything else? I could see a hill, like a village. Keep turning your piece until you start to see an image made out of that line. It doesn't have to be significant to you. It could be silly, like a camel or a bowl of fruit. Whatever you see, just keep turning your image and imagining what can you make out of this line. I'm gonna go and use the village metaphor. I'll draw mine and be thinking about what you see in your own line as well. Don't be afraid to just doodle. If you can't see anything representationally, like objects or ideas, you can design with shapes, colors, lines, and patterns. It's important to know that the possibilities truly are endless when you're imagining something into your line. If you're having trouble imagining something, it could be an indication of just where you're at emotionally, what to make of your loss. You might be feeling lost or like it had no meaning. The pain and the grief that you're going through seems meaningless. If you feel that way, if you feel stuck, just take time. Take a break, pause the video, and come back to the line. Some time in between making the line and seeing something new might be required in order to have a new perspective. But take heart, it will come. You can choose to color your line drawing like I did, or just leave it as a line. That's fine too. Take as much time as you need to finish. Once you're done, take another look at your line drawing and consider, is the image that I saw in my line significant to me and my journey? Now, it's okay if it's not. If you saw a camel, let it be a camel. But think about it. Could the camel signify making your way through a desert? When I look at my mountain that I just drew here, I picture a mountain village, and I picture all the people and places that have become significant in my life, that have led me up and forward in my journey. My journey to healing has truly been a communal effort because so many participated in my healing. I drew a dark sky, but then I could see it getting lighter and lighter. And to me, that signifies hope and vision for the future. I can't really see what's on the other top of the mountain, on the other side. I don't really know why I'm going up. I do know it's steep and that it's hard, but I do know that I'm not alone. Is your image significant to you? And how does your image change your view of your grief journey? Does it give meaning to the slow periods where you felt stuck? Does it give purpose to the hard climbs? Does it give significance to the ups and downs that you experienced? Can you see a little bit more of where you're at, where you've been, and where you're going? The things you've gone through were horrible, and grief hurts because it's not supposed to be this way. But you know that you're able now to see the significance in the journey just a little bit, and to be able to find hope and share it with someone else. Death and loss are apart from our control. They just happen in the world that we live in. But what is in our control is what we make of this line, this story that happens to us. We can choose to let it bring us down. We can choose to see negative. We can choose to see only despair. Or we can turn it on its head and choose to see something greater. That's our responsibility with what we've been given. What will you see in your own grief journey? Comment below and tell me what you saw. If there's a counselor, mentor, friend, or family member who you trust, I challenge you to show this picture to them. Tell your story out loud to someone else and see what they see in this drawing as well. And don't forget, for reflection questions for journaling and for tips on leading this project with a group of fellow grievers, head to my Etsy store and download that printable activity. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more helpful activities just like this one.